Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. I've been in this industry since 1987. I call that the horse and buggy era of the wireless industry. Before there was data, just voice. Before there was digital, it was just analog. And it's great so many years later to see us really be on the cusp of a huge explosion of new opportunities. And I worked for Motorola, and I worked for Nokia. And I remember I heard the same joke with an American accent and then later with a Finnish accent. And I'll share it with you not because it's funny, but because it gives you some insights as to the opportunity ahead of us as an industry. And it affects everyone in the room because, Amazon is in a service business, we're in a hardware business, and all of you are in the information business and analysis business. And the joke went like this. There's two CEOs in the mid-'80s. They go to China, and they don't see anyone using a cell phone. How many of you have heard this joke? No? Okay. So one CEO looks around and sees nobody using a cell phone, and he says, there's no market here. So he gets on a plane and he goes home. And the other CEO looks around and says, nobody has a cell phone. I'm going to build a factory. And he builds a tremendous industry out of that opportunity, right? And that's kind of where we are today. When I meet some of the analysts or some partners, they question what is the exact value of IoT? Is it hype? I mean, there's so many issues. There's maybe some business models are not clear, but that's the opportunity. One company's issue, lack of security, lack of a business model, is another company's opportunity to provide mobile advertising or provide the security and sell that, right? Some companies will make money from selling picks and shovels. Other companies will find the gold using those picks and shovels, right? And that's really where we're at. And that's where the ecosystem comes into play, because companies that invest in their ecosystems are going to discover the solutions, and they're going to bring those solutions to their channels. They're going to create channels. They're going to create their new customer base, create new generations of devices or services. And that's really where I want to go with this discussion. So democratizing IoT. You've heard that before. Johan brought it up. JC mentioned developers as a part of his strategy, massive developers. And so we all now have that experience in our own pockets or purses or in our hands. We all have smartphones. I certainly think any of our invited guests, analysts and journalists, you certainly have a smartphone. I'm sure you've downloaded apps, and you probably remember a time when you had a phone that did not have any downloadable apps, right? So all of that value, customizable value for each of us, and all of that customizable content came from the democratization of smartphone platforms. Companies investing in creating an ecosystem around their platform that allowed third parties to come in and easily engage with that platform and create experiences for the enterprise, for the consumer, for students, so people could enjoy the content they wanted or access services very easily. And new business models came out of that. That's the democratization of the platforms. We're going through a similar type of opportunity now with IoT. This time, it's going to involve not only cloud and connectivity, but also hardware. And that's where MediaTek steps in. We provide the hardware kit. We have the software kit that allows you to use that hardware kit and create the operational software to integrate sensors, develop your own UI, and I will go into those details in a little bit. But it also involves the evolution of the picks and shovels around that, such as 3D printing and lower cost prototyping equipment. So developers can either buy that and do this activity in their garage or their basement, or they can go to an incubator who has a lab open for those developers to do their own laser cutting or their 3D printing, their design, CAD, CAM. You know, there's all kinds of support now. Even here in London, there's an incubator called Fab Lab that we work with that has this kind of equipment that developers can come in and easily access and use and have access to our hardware kits. So this is happening not just in London or in San Francisco or in Taiwan or in Shenzhen. It's happening all over. It's happening in Seattle. It's happening in New York. It's happening in Princeton, New Jersey at the university. It's happening everywhere, right? That's the democratization of the IoT opportunity, and it's just starting. So there are lots of forecasts from analysts. I just picked a few that had access to. There's many, many more. And it's all pointing to the fact that the developers play a vital role in these big ecosystems. They are the source of new solutions, new services, new devices, new categories of devices. They're also the ones that are going to be innovating with low-cost electronics, with the picks and shovels, basically, the industry is providing. And this is a forecast from Vision Mobile. I used a similar forecast last year from the same company. Last year, this figure was less than 1 million developers in 2015 would be working on IoT. Now, based on what they're seeing, their research, their activity they're detecting, it's 4.5 million developers according to their estimate. So they've increased their estimate almost 5-fold. And their forecast for 2020 is 9.7 million. Last year, 9.7 million was 4.5 million. So they're seeing a huge shift in attention from the global developer community away from just doing mobile or web apps to focusing on solutions that include some kind of device you would access and cloud services and connectivity, solving a problem either for enterprise, industry, consumer, wearable, smart home, smart office. So it's great. It's great encouragement. So this is one of the reasons why MediaTek last year, almost exactly a year ago, we launched MediaTek Labs in 2 languages, English and Mandarin, and that's reflecting somewhat the legacy of MediaTek, having such a strong customer base and such a strong presence in China, and also our desire to be a global entity engaging with opportunities all over the planet, and having an English website supported with a team that's engaging with developer opportunities. We can support developers in Brazil, in Egypt, you know, in Israel, in Spain, everywhere, right? And the developers we're targeting here are device-oriented developers or those creating apps and services related to those devices. And our goal is to help the developer who has their idea, and usually it's a team of people, 4, 5, 10 people. You know, they have an idea how they're going to launch this product. And we help them use our hardware kit, the SDK that they can download for free from the internet, technical documents, discussion forums. We even have teams that can engage with them when they get to the prototyping stage, evaluate their concept, their business model, give them some guidance on pricing, and when they're ready to do their prototyping, do the matchmaking and introduce them to companies that will help them prototype all the way through pilot and mass production. And we have several partnerships. So we have cloud partnerships. We also have recommended sensors that they can use. We recommend that they use with our hardware kits. And we've had a tremendous uptake with the developer community on the offerings that we've put in front of them. Currently, we have 3. 2 of them are based on the MT2502, which is highly integrated connectivity and unrivaled connectivity on a single hardware kit, which includes Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPRS, and GPS. So you can do a wide range of use cases you can support off of one hardware kit. We offer that in 2 flavors. One is Arduino, which is for easy concepting or for maker communities. The other one is based on C and supported by the Eclipse IDE, and that's for the more professional developer that wants access to deeper APIs on that board. The other product we offer is the Linkit Connect 7681, and that's to simply Wi-Fi enable an appliance. It could be something as simple as a smart bulb, a smart door lock, a simple toy, things like that. We also offer through MediaTek Labs the MediaTek Cloud Sandbox, and that's a non-commercial offering. But what it does is it allows a developer to automatically get an account when they register for Labs, and they have access to our sandbox where they can create the profile of the device they're making. They can start collecting their data as they're testing their product design. They can emulate some sensor inputs as well through the cloud, and they can analyze, use the diagnostics to see how their product is performing. And once they're ready to go to the next step and start prototyping their device, we have cloud partners we can introduce them to prepare for their commercial launch. And we have a rapidly growing collection of developers that are making products that we've introduced into our supply chain partnership network so they can do their prototyping or get design services or even go to mass production. So you can see here's a couple of screenshots. We have 4 demos in the hall. I will go through those now. The first one is TinyTel, and TinyTel I will give 10 minutes at the end of my presentation to describe a bit more in more detail than I will do what they've accomplished within a year, what product they're using, what has been their experience as a developer using the 2502. It's basically a wearable phone for children, so parents can control what calls the child can receive or make, and they can also track the child using GPS to prevent them from getting lost or to retrieve them if they have basically wandered off. We have a smart greenhouse demo, which was done by one of our technical consultants in Camborne, and it's a very cool demo because it's like a small, a miniaturized greenhouse that has sensors embedded in it that can detect when there's too much humidity inside the greenhouse, and then there's an automated arm that can raise or lower part of the enclosure to let the humidity escape. There's also a moisture sensor into the soil where there's a plant, and it can detect if it needs more water, and it can automatically activate a source of water within the greenhouse to water the soil. And so that's a very interesting use, agricultural use of the Linkit 2502. Then there's a smart brewer. They're actually on their 3rd generation within a year. They've progressed their design. They're getting ready for launch in the beginning of next year. And it allows you to make your own brew, whether it's a wine or a beer. They provide recipes. There's servers. There's sensors in the lid that can tell you, if you have too much sunlight or it's too hot or too cold, or if there's too much alcohol, if the seal has been broken, and it can alert you on your smartphone or your tablet or on a web browser, to take action and preserve your recipe. Then there's a robotic rover. It's an emulation of the Mars rover with an arm, and it's a very exciting demo back there. The developer has used a Linkit board for the remote control, and they've also used a Linkit board for the actual rover itself. And the wheels turn in different directions. There's a video camera on it. It's a very, very cool demo to go check out. And one of the key elements I spoke of is our supply chain partner network. We call that Partner Connect. So the developer comes with their idea. They create their proof of concept with a hardware kit they can order from Seed Studios. That's our partner that makes the hardware kit and does the e-commerce fulfillment. And they can use the Cloud Sandbox to basically provide the cloud aspects for their design. When they're ready to do their prototyping, they contact one of our developer relations professionals We go through their design, match them up with the right partners, and they can basically progress through the supply chain and complete their product, bring it to mass production. And here are some examples of different partners that we have in Partner Connect. We have partners providing software and cloud services, manufacturers, designers, and distributors. Distributors sell hardware kits and modules that are used in production.